Thank you for joining us today to share your remarkable experience. Could you start by introducing yourself and telling us a bit about your background? Hello, my name is Sherry Shah. I'm 34 years old and I own a large provisional shop in the city center of Kingston, Jamaica, where I currently live. I was brought up in Kingston by Christian parents who were part of the Baptist Union. However, as a child and young adult, I never went to church with them. Bad influences from friends often led me astray. I understand you had a life-changing experience a few years ago. Can you tell us when this occurred? Yes, what I'm about to share happened to me 3 years ago, in 2020, when the COVID-19 pandemic had begun but was not yet eradicated. Before we get into the details of that experience, could you tell us about your faith journey leading up to that point? Certainly. On May 18, 2018, at the age of 28, I had a significant turning point in my life. I repented of my sins, was baptized, and became a born-again Christian. I also became a full member of the Baptist Union, the same church my parents belonged to. After that, I was part of the Church Women's Fellowship and often attended Sunday services. That's quite a transformation. How did this change impact your lifestyle? Well, that's where things get complicated. Even though I was active in the church, I still enjoyed and appreciated secular music and social gatherings. My home and store were always filled with worldly music. I was usually one of the first to buy tickets for community concerts because I was so excited about them. I see. Now, let's talk about the night of your life-changing experience. Can you walk us through what happened? It happened on a Friday evening after I closed my shop. I was about to catch a taxi home, just like any other Friday, when I got a call from a high school friend I hadn't talked to in years. She asked where I was and told me to wait because she was coming to visit. We were overjoyed to see each other after such a long time. What did you do after meeting up with your friend? She suggested we find a small place like a pub to sit and chill since it was the weekend. We had a few alcoholic beverages and began to feel a little tipsy. After using the restroom, I told my friend we should leave as it was getting late. We went our separate ways, and I walked a bit further to take a taxi home. Did anything unusual happen as you were walking? Yes, I spotted 2 men following me, but I didn't suspect they were after me. As soon as I entered a small dark area with no streetlights, one of the men ordered me to stop and threatened to shoot if I moved. When I turned around and saw 2 men with guns, I realized my life was in danger. That must have been terrifying. What happened next? They tried to steal my handbag, which contained my entire day's sales from the shop. It was late, and no one was around to hear me scream. I fought hard not to give them my hard-earned money. One of them shot me in the left leg, and the other hit me hard on the head with his gun. I fell to the ground, bleeding. The last thing I remember is feeling a kick to my right rib cage and seeing a rough shoe sole on my face. Then I lost consciousness. I'm so sorry you went through that horrific experience. What do you remember after losing consciousness? When I opened my eyes, I found myself in a peaceful, empty space. It was endless, with nothing else in sight. Then I started to hear the whistling of a tornado. When I looked up, I saw the most breathtaking scene, a great city with golden gates coming down from the sky. That sounds incredible. Can you describe what you saw in more detail? There were 2 powerful angels with wings moving as a sign of protection on the gates. They were holding swords that were on fire. I knew I should have been scared, but I felt a sense of peace and awe. I just kept staring at what was happening in front of me. Did anything happen after the city landed? Yes, a door opened, and an angel walked towards me. He looked too calm to be scary. When he got to where I was standing, I bowed to him out of respect, but he stopped me and told me to stand up. I thought he would take me to the Golden City, but he told me there was another place he could take me instead. Where did the angel take you? He showed the other angels in front of the gates what to do, and the gates opened. A white stallion walked out, and he got on it, offering to help me do the same. We began to sink down quickly and went through a dark, empty space. What did you experience as you were descending? At first, I wasn't sure what was happening. But as we started to fall into the depths, I could hear disturbing crying from people who must have been in terrible pain. There was also a horrible smell. The peace I had felt just moments before turned into fear. Did the angel speak to you during this descent? Yes, he did. He told me he would show me some of the people I looked up to when they were alive, as well as where they went after they died. As we got closer to the bottom, I could feel the terrible heat and the bad smell intensifying. Can you describe what you saw when you reached the bottom? We arrived at what looked like a burning sulfur pit. I saw the burning fire of hell tossing its inhabitants up and down. I could see their faces whenever they flipped upward. There were demons that resembled humans but had long horns on their heads. Each held long chains that they used to whip and torment the souls within. That sounds horrifying. What else did you witness? The demons would occasionally pierce the wailing souls with spear-like objects in their hands. Despite the fact that these demons were also burning, they were able to torment the souls of other humans. They showed no pity or remorse for their victims, instead screaming bitterly as they carried out their horrific acts. Did the angel take you anywhere else? Yes, he led me to another department that was even more severe than the previous one. The entire area smelled strongly, and the blazing fire kept burning anyone inside. This time, it burned up the souls so badly that their screaming could block your ears. You mentioned seeing familiar faces. Can you tell us about that? When I was there, I saw souls with familiar faces. 2 souls in particular caught my attention. They were suspended in the atmosphere. When the angel asked if I knew them, I recognized them as Kevin Fret, who was shot and killed in San Juan, and Michael Jackson, the famous American musician. That must have been shocking. Did the angel explain why these individuals were there? Yes, he did. I was particularly confused about Michael Jackson because he was widely known as peaceful and well-liked. The angel explained that Michael Jackson had voluntarily sold his soul to the devil long before he became a world-renowned star. Can you elaborate on what the angel told you about Michael Jackson? The angel said that when Michael was very young, his father introduced him to a secret society in America. This was apparently the reason he became a worldwide celebrity at such a young age. The angel claimed that Michael's songs were all demonic in nature and that they influenced many people spiritually into the dark world. That's a startling claim. Did the angel provide any more details about Michael Jackson's influence? Yes, he said that Michael's songs influenced many people spiritually into the dark world. When Michael performed on stage, many of his fans collapsed. The angel informed me that all of Jackson's fans were actually worshiping the Prince of Darkness, and many of those people had died and were already in hell with him. Did the angel say anything about Michael Jackson's famous dance moves? Indeed, he did. The angel demonstrated scenes of Michael's dance moves that represented how demons moved and walked in the spiritual realm. He said that demons inspired his moonwalk dance. According to the angel, many individuals were led astray by Michael Jackson's demonic seduction, and his dance skills enticed many to become children of the dark. That's quite a revelation. What about Kevin Fret? What did the angel say about him? The angel told me that Kevin Fret, the Puerto Rican rapper who referred to himself as the first openly gay Latin trap artist, was originally destined to bring God's kingdom into the world. However, he let his early celebrity and fame control him, making it easy for the devil to exploit him. How did the angel say this affected Kevin Fret's life? The angel said that Kevin abandoned himself to the pleasures of homosexuality, alcohol, wealth, and sexuality. His worldly exploits led to his sudden death in January 2019. He was only 24 years old and had just begun his music career in 2018 when he released 2 songs. You mentioned seeing another familiar face. Can you tell us about that? Yes, Isonina Simone. The angel confirmed her identity and told me that she was a phenomenal singer and activist with a voice of inspiration. She was expected to live a life in accordance with God's will, but she decided to enjoy the vanity of life instead. What else did the angel say about Nina Simone? He told me that God had given her numerous opportunities to repent and return to him, but she chose instead to pursue earthly pursuits. It was a sobering revelation about someone I had admired. After showing you these souls, did the angel have a message for you? Yes, he did. The angel warned me that the Lord had sent him to meet me and reveal all of these things so that I would not end up like these individuals. He told me to stop attending secular events like concerts and parties that are incompatible with my Christian beliefs. He also instructed me to stop listening to secular music so that the devil doesn't take over my spirit. That's quite a powerful message. What happened after the angel gave you this warning? After that, I woke up in the hospital. My right leg was broken. I later found out that a good Samaritan had seen me lying in a pool of blood and took me to the hospital right away. I was treated and sent home a month later. Did you ever find out what happened to your belongings? Yes, I discovered that the people who attacked me had taken my bag, which had a lot of money in it, the entire day's sales from my shop. How did this experience change your life? It had a profound impact on me. I realized that if it wasn't for God's kindness and mercy, I would have been eternally doomed to hell. This experience made me reevaluate my lifestyle and my commitment to my faith. Did you share this experience with others? Yes, I had the opportunity to give this testimony to the youth of my church after I was discharged from the hospital. It had a profound effect on a considerable number of them, causing many to alter their lifestyle and desist from listening to secular music and any sort of entertainment associated with the devil. That's remarkable. How has this experience changed your daily life and habits? It's been a complete transformation. I no longer attend secular concerts or parties. I've removed all worldly music from my home and store. I'm much more committed to living a life that aligns with my Christian beliefs. I've realized the importance of being vigilant about the influences I allow into my life. Has this experience affected how you run your business? Absolutely. I'm much more careful about the products I stock and the atmosphere I create in my shop. I no longer play secular music, and I try to make it a positive, uplifting environment for my customers. I've also become more focused on using my business as a way to serve my community and share my faith. Have you faced any challenges in maintaining this new lifestyle? Of course. It hasn't always been easy. There are times when I miss the excitement of the concerts and parties I used to attend. Sometimes, I catch myself wanting to listen to the popular secular songs I hear everywhere. But then I remember what I saw and experienced, and it strengthens my resolve to stay on this path. How do you handle these moments of temptation? Prayer is my first line of defense. Whenever I feel tempted, I pray for strength and guidance. I also immerse myself in Christian music and literature. I've found that surrounding myself with positive, faith-affirming content helps keep me focused on my spiritual journey. Has your experience changed your view on popular culture and celebrity worship? Absolutely. I used to be fascinated by the lives of celebrities and the advantages that come with fame. Now, I understand that worldly success and popularity don't equate to spiritual well-being. I'm much more cautious about the role models I look up to and the cultural influences I allow into my life. How has this experience affected your understanding of life after death? It's completely transformed my perspective. Before, the concept of heaven and hell was abstract to me. Now, it's very real and tangible. I have a much deeper appreciation for the eternal consequences of our earthly actions and choices. It's made me more committed to living a life that prepares me for eternity with God. You mentioned seeing both heaven and hell in your experience. How has this dual vision impacted you? Seeing both has given me a profound understanding of the stark contrast between the two. The beauty and peace of the heavenly city I glimpsed have become a source of hope and inspiration for me. At the same time, the horrors of hell serve as a constant reminder of the importance of staying on the right path. It's motivated me to not only focus on my own spiritual journey but also to help others find their way to God. Has your experience changed how you view death and dying? Definitely. While I still have a natural human fear of the process of dying, I'm no longer afraid of death itself. I have a sense of peace knowing that there's life after death. However, this experience has also instilled in me a deep sense of responsibility to live my life in a way that prepares me for eternity. How has this experience affected your prayer life and your relationship with God? My prayer life has become much more intense and personal. I feel a closer connection to God, knowing that He cared enough to show me these things and give me a second chance. I spend more time in prayer and meditation, really seeking to understand God's will for my life. I'm also more attuned to what I believe is God's voice guiding me in my daily decisions. Has your understanding of spiritual warfare changed as a result of this experience? Absolutely. Before, spiritual warfare was just a concept I'd heard about in church. Now, it's very real to me. I'm much more aware of the constant battle between good and evil, and how our everyday choices play into this larger spiritual conflict. I'm more vigilant about guarding my thoughts and actions, understanding that seemingly small compromises can have significant spiritual consequences. You mentioned that the angel warned you about secular music and entertainment. How do you now approach media and entertainment choices? I'm extremely cautious now. I've completely eliminated secular music from my life and I'm very selective about the movies and TV shows I watch. I primarily consume Christian media or content that aligns with biblical values. When I do encounter secular media, I'm much more critical and discerning about its messages and potential spiritual impact. Has this experience changed how you view time and how you prioritize your activities? Absolutely. I now see time as a precious gift from God, and I'm much more intentional about how I use it. I prioritize activities that nurture my spiritual growth and allow me to serve others. I've cut out a lot of time-wasting activities and instead focus on prayer, Bible study, church involvement, and using my business as a platform for ministry. You mentioned that you saw Michael Jackson in your vision. Has this changed how you view his music and legacy? It's been a dramatic shift. I used to be a big fan of Michael Jackson, but now I can't listen to his music without thinking about what the angel showed me. It's made me realize how powerful and potentially dangerous musical influences can be. I now encourage others to be very cautious about the music they listen to, regardless of how popular or talented the artist may be. Have you encountered any skepticism when sharing your story, particularly about seeing celebrities in hell? Yes, I've definitely faced skepticism. Some people find it hard to believe that beloved celebrities could end up in hell. Others question the validity of near-death experiences in general. I understand their doubts, but I can only share what I experienced. I always encourage people to focus on the core message of living a life aligned with God's will, rather than getting caught up in the specific details of what I saw. How has this experience impacted your view on evangelism and sharing your faith? It's made evangelism a top priority in my life. Before, I was a Christian but not very active in sharing my faith. Now, I feel a sense of urgency to tell others about God's love and the reality of eternity. I look for opportunities to share my story and my faith in both my personal life and through my business. I'm much bolder now in talking about spiritual matters with others. You mentioned that a Good Samaritan helped you after the attack. Have you ever tried to find out who this person was? Yes, I did try to find out. After I recovered, I asked around in the neighborhood where the attack happened. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to identify the person. But it's made me more aware of how God can use anyone to help in times of need. It's inspired me to be more attentive to others who might need help, to be a good Samaritan myself whenever possible. Has your experience changed how you view suffering and hardship in life? Definitely. While I don't seek out suffering, I now see it as something that can have spiritual purpose. My own traumatic experience led to this incredible spiritual awakening. It's helped me to trust God more deeply when facing difficulties, knowing that He can use even painful experiences for good. I also have more compassion for others who are suffering, as I understand that their struggles might be part of a bigger spiritual journey. How has this experience affected your view on forgiveness, particularly towards the men who attacked you? That's been a challenging aspect of my journey. Initially, I was angry and scared thinking about my attackers. But as I've processed my experience and grown in my faith, I've come to a place where I can pray for them. I don't know what became of them, but I hope that they too will have an encounter with God that changes their lives. Learning to forgive them has been a powerful part of my healing process. You mentioned that you saw Nina Simone in your vision. Has this changed how you view activism and social justice? It's made me realize that even good causes, if pursued without God at the center, can lead us astray. I still believe in the importance of fighting for justice and equality, but now I see it as part of our calling as Christians rather than an end in itself. I try to approach activism from a biblical perspective, always keeping in mind that our ultimate goal should be to glorify God and lead people to Him. Has your experience given you any insights into the nature of eternity? It's made eternity feel much more real and immediate to me. I now understand that our time on earth is just a tiny fraction of our existence. This has made me more focused on making choices that have eternal significance rather than just temporary earthly benefits. It's also given me a greater longing for heaven and a desire to help others understand the reality and importance of eternity. How has this experience impacted your relationships with non-believers? It's made me more intentional about these relationships. I have a greater sense of urgency about sharing my faith, but I also try to approach these interactions with love and patience. I'm more aware of the eternal stakes involved, which sometimes makes these relationships more challenging, but also more meaningful. I pray more for the non-believers in my life and look for opportunities to share my story and my faith with them. You mentioned that you used to enjoy parties and concerts. How do you now find joy and relaxation in your life? I've discovered new sources of joy that are aligned with my faith. I find great satisfaction in Christian worship music and concerts. I enjoy fellowship events at church and Bible study groups. I've also developed new hobbies like gardening and painting, which I find relaxing and spiritually nurturing. And I still enjoy socializing, but now it's more centered around faith-based activities and deeper conversations with like-minded friends. Has your experience changed how you handle your finances and material possessions? Absolutely. Seeing the temporary nature of earthly wealth and success has made me much less materialistic. I'm more focused on using my resources to help others and support my church and other ministries. I run my business with the primary goal of glorifying God and serving my community, rather than just maximizing profits. I'm also more generous with giving, as I understand that we can't take our earthly wealth with us when we die. How has this experience affected your view on the role of music and art in spiritual life? It's made me much more aware of the spiritual power of music and art. I now see these not just as forms of entertainment, but as potential channels for either positive spiritual influence or negative manipulation. I'm much more discerning about the art and music I consume, always considering its spiritual message and impact. At the same time, I've developed a deeper appreciation for Christian music and art that genuinely glorifies God and nurtures the soul. How has this experience impacted your understanding of God's judgment and mercy? It's given me a much deeper appreciation for both God's justice and His mercy. Seeing the reality of hell has made me understand the seriousness of sin and the importance of God's judgment. At the same time, I'm overwhelmed by God's mercy in allowing me to have this experience and giving me a second chance. It's made me more grateful for Jesus' sacrifice and more committed to living a life that honors that sacrifice. You mentioned that the angel warned you about secular music and entertainment. How do you now approach media and entertainment choices? I'm much more discerning now about what I allow into my life through media and entertainment. I primarily listen to Christian music and watch faith-based content. When I do engage with secular media, I'm very careful to analyze the messages and values being presented. I ask myself if what I'm consuming is glorifying God or potentially leading me away from Him. Has this experience changed how you view your role in society? Definitely. I now see myself as having a greater purpose beyond just running my business and living my life. I feel a strong responsibility to be a light in my community, to share the truth I've experienced, and to help others avoid the spiritual pitfalls I was shown. I'm more involved in community outreach and mentoring programs, trying to guide others, especially young people, towards a path of faith and righteousness. You mentioned that you saw demons tormenting souls in hell. How has this affected your understanding of spiritual beings? It's made the spiritual realm much more real to me. I now have a deeper understanding of the severity of spiritual warfare and the very real presence of both angelic and demonic beings. This has made me more aware of the importance of spiritual protection through prayer, reading scripture, and living a godly life. Has your experience changed how you view other religions or belief systems? It certainly strengthened my conviction in my Christian faith. At the same time, it's given me a greater sense of urgency in reaching out to people of other faiths or no faith at all. I'm more passionate about sharing the gospel, but I also try to approach these conversations with love and respect, remembering that everyone is on their own spiritual journey. How has this experience affected your view on the role of the church in society? I now see the church as absolutely crucial in today's world. It's not just a place for Sunday worship, but a community that should be actively engaged in sharing God's love, supporting those in need, and helping people prepare for eternity. I believe the church needs to be bolder in standing for biblical truth, even when it's not popular, while also showing Christ's love to everyone. You mentioned that you used to be fascinated by celebrity culture. How has your view of fame and success changed? My perspective has completely shifted. I used to envy celebrities and wish for their lifestyle. Now, I see that worldly fame and success are temporary and can often lead people astray. True success, in my view, is living a life that pleases God and helps others. I'm much more interested in building eternal treasures than accumulating worldly wealth or fame. Has your experience given you any new perspectives on the nature of good and evil? Yes, it's made both good and evil feel much more tangible and real to me. I have a deeper understanding of the ongoing spiritual battle between good and evil and how this plays out in our daily lives. It's made me more aware of the subtle ways evil can influence us, often disguised as something appealing or harmless. At the same time, I have a greater appreciation for the power of good and how small acts of kindness and faith can have significant spiritual impact. Has your experience changed how you approach death and loss? While I still feel sadness when facing loss, my experience has given me a different perspective on death. I now see it more as a transition rather than an ending. This has brought me comfort when losing loved ones who shared my faith, knowing that I'll see them again. It's also made me more intentional about having spiritual conversations with loved ones, wanting to ensure they're prepared for eternity. You mentioned that you shared your testimony with the youth in your church. Have you continued to share your story with others? Yes, I have. I feel a strong calling to share my experience with as many people as possible. I've spoken at various church events, not just in my own congregation but in other churches as well. I've also had the opportunity to share my story on Christian radio programs and at youth conferences. What kind of response have you received when sharing your story? The responses have been mixed, but mostly positive. Many people, especially young adults, have told me that my story has made them reconsider their own lifestyles and relationship with God. Some have been skeptical, of course, but even those who doubt the details of my experience often appreciate the message about the importance of living a life aligned with one's faith. You mentioned that you used to enjoy parties and concerts. Do you miss that lifestyle at all? Honestly, there are times when I miss the carefree fun of that lifestyle. But those moments are fleeting. The joy and peace I've found in my renewed faith far outweigh any temporary pleasures I've given up. I've found new ways to enjoy life that align with my beliefs, and I feel much more fulfilled now. How has this experience impacted your understanding of spiritual gifts and the supernatural? It's opened my eyes to the reality of the supernatural realm in a way I never understood before. I'm more attuned to the possibility of God working in miraculous ways, while also being cautious about potential spiritual deception. I've become more interested in understanding and developing spiritual gifts, seeing them as tools God gives us to serve others and advance His kingdom. Has your experience influenced how you view the concept of divine purpose or calling? Absolutely. I now have a much stronger sense that God has a specific purpose for each of our lives. My experience feels like a clear calling to share my story and help others understand the reality of the spiritual realm. It's made me more attentive to God's guidance in my daily life, always asking how I can fulfill His purpose for me. I also encourage others to seek and pursue their God-given calling, understanding that fulfilling this purpose is key to a truly satisfying life. As we conclude this interview, what final message would you like to share with our audience based on your extraordinary experience? I would urge everyone to take their spiritual life seriously. Our choices and actions in this life have eternal consequences. Seek God earnestly, live according to His word, and be mindful of the influences you allow into your life. Don't be distracted by temporary worldly pleasures or success. Instead, focus on what truly matters in light of eternity. And remember, no matter where you are in your spiritual journey, it's never too late to turn to God. He is merciful and loving, always ready to forgive and guide us if we sincerely seek Him. Thank you, Sherry Shah, for sharing your profound experience and insights with us. Your story is truly remarkable and gives us much to reflect on. Thank you for allowing me to share my story. I pray that it will touch hearts and inspire others to deepen their relationship with God.